We are loud, obnoxious, and completely inappropriate. Viewer's discretion is strongly advised. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of the Coffee Mug Show, and we are officially live at Twitch. This episode is sponsored by Enter Your Name Here. We are looking for new sponsors to join us in this adventures of ours. So if you're interested, drop us a line. Then we can chat and see how much money we can grab from you guys. So this morning I am joined by Derek. Unfortunately, Mark is not here. And Derek, what are you drinking this morning?
I'm drinking just the OJ in a nice Campbell's mug.
Nice.
Yes.
And this morning I am drinking a cup of Joe on a MIT mug from their gift shop with coffee stains in it, and it has a caffeine CH3. Fuck, I don't know. It's too early.
Gotta drink more of that, man.
Oh, I know. So this morning, because Mark is not here, we were supposed to talk about Elon Musk, but we decided we're going to postpone it a bit and to have this conversation. But if you are watching on Twitch, you can actually watch us. You can join us in the conversation by just entering your comments in chat, and we can actually look at it and read your comments back. Also, if you are watching us live and you don't have Twitch, you can also watch. You can also leave your comments through Twitter. We do have access to it, and we can actually read it from there too if you have any comments and questions. Okay, so today's topics will be Facebook's little blunder on the private posting that they had last week, and also after that we're going to be talking about Solo and possibly Ocean 8. Derek, is that correct? Is it Ocean 8? Okay.
8.
So first, we're going to be talking about Facebook's little accidental exposure of people's private post. It happened between May 18th and May 22nd. So if you decide to post something privately to your friends, it may be online for everyone can see. So if your friends decide to look at you differently between those dates, they probably saw your private post. Derek, what do you think about this little issue that they have?
I actually didn't hear about this until you and I were talking about it. Usually I try to stay up on the news, but I actually didn't hear about it, so I'm a little surprised by this. That it wasn't a little more covered in the news, or at least here in Canada that I'm aware of. I know you sent me a few articles and so forth, but I didn't really hear much buzz about it. And I wonder if it's becoming that, oh, we've seen it before from the news agencies, so they didn't really tout it at all. So, oh, we're through the Congress and all that. So now it's kind of a boring thing that they don't want to look at anymore. It's yesterday's news, so they didn't really cover it as much. But 14 million people is a heck of a lot of people. And there's a lot of implications to that. I mean, if you're having a private, not just, about a private conversation with your friends, you could have something nefarious going on. If you're a corporation, you could have private messages within a corporation, although I don't think any business would really use Facebook for that, but there's still the possibility where privileged information could be out there in some way. So there's a lot of risk there. But also, as you said, trashing your friends on Facebook or something and then them finding out about it would be pretty darn bad too.
Oh, tell me about it. It's kind of funny though, because when Facebook got in trouble with the Senate from the government regarding their privacy thing and the adoption of the it's GDPR from Europe, they have to disclose every single issue or privacy issue that's been compromised to the public. And if the European Union never actually adopted this law, you think Facebook will actually release this information, or they'll just keep it internally and hopefully no one notice?
Well, that was my other question. How long did it take them to advise people? Because if it happened on May 18th to 22nd, when did they start telling people? I think in the stuff I read, it was like 9 days it was out there. And I wonder, why did it take them 9 days to fix it? That's a big question for me, right? Did they notice on the first day, or they didn't notice till the seventh day, or kind of idea?
Well, as far as I know, the law requires them to to tell the public in 5 days of finding out the issue, right? So if they knew about it for 9 days or even before that, um, regulations said that they have to say something about they have to say something about it. If they don't say anything about it, they're actually violating European law. So I think because everyone's adopting European law in North America because it's a lot better for consumers. Uh, I, I I have this feeling, to be honest with you, Derek, that Facebook's just doing this because they're everyone's keeping an eye on them. And I have this feeling if this happens again, let's say it's 4 months from now, 5 months from now, I have this feeling they're not going to say a single thing in North America, but they'll say something in Europe.
So, Congress in the states are not looking to adopt the European model. They're not looking to do that, are they?
I don't think so. But I know, as far as I know, in Canada, they are looking at adopting some of the laws that they have it, but they're going to modify it to um, Canadian businesses, Canadian culture. But right now, the strictest one is Europe and North America. I think the Americans are hesitant to adopt similar things, but I think they're just going to modify it to what they have right now.
Okay, well, I like the European model. I do. I think it's a good idea. I think that there has to be some regulation or some industry standards to that because people's privacy is involved here, and that's not something to joke about, right? I mean, personally, I'd be more concerned about you know social insurance numbers, phone numbers, addresses, all that kind of stuff. But having said that, when we're talking specifically about Facebook, people themselves are putting that information out there, right? And no platform is perfect, right? I mean, when you can have, we talked about before, like Equifax and so forth, who have far more sensitive information on people, having security breaches, and they don't go in front of Congress, but Facebook does. I have serious concerns around that.
Yeah,
But
they actually made
uh,
money out of that little fiasco.
yeah, I know it's really disturbing.
It is. It is. Well, hopefully this gets a little better in their end, but we'll keep an eye on this and see what happens. So before we continue to the next topic, this is going to be a very short video because again we are missing one of our troublemakers. So but we're actually before we could go to the next subject, I just want to let everyone know that we are having buffering issues in our end regarding streaming because we are sucking up a lot of bandwidth. We do have gigabit, and it's just it's we're working on it. This is theoretically our first official live stream. Last week was just a test run, so just give you guys a heads up on that one. So Derek, last for the past couple of weeks we've been watching movies together,
Well,
and
before we move on to
oh,
that, do we
sorry.
ha do we have anybody on the live stream that want to ask a question about that topic or Facebook
Oh,
or
good
whatever?
point. Good point. We do have people saying that they like our mugs.
Good.
I think they talk about more yours than mine.
Well,
Where
I
did you
mean,
get your mug anyway?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's my partner's mug, and I actually it's the first time I've seen it. I was like, "Can you get me a mug?" And he pulls it out, and I'm like, "Oh, okay. This is different because I personally haven't even seen it before. I mean, it's a plastic mug where you could just pour soup into it. It actually has a cover as well, which is kind of cool, so you could keep your soup warm or whatever while you're walking around.
Oh, nice, nice. Well, here's the little thing, guys. If you are a mug company or you guys make mugs, if you want to sponsor us, we're definitely willing to show your mugs in our show. All our guests will have mugs, your mugs. So,
We
yeah.
like
So
interesting mugs. How's that? We like unique, interesting mugs. So,
yeah,
yeah.
the colorful it is, the wacky it is, it's better for us. So, any other comments regarding the Facebook thing? Anybody in the chat room or Derek? Okay, so none. But yeah, I just want to remind everyone that we do have our what call it, our our chat room open. So if you guys are willing to, if you guys want to join us in a conversation, definitely feel free to join us. Also, we also have our Twitter account up and running. If you guys want to join us there, you feel free to join us there as well.
Is there still a delay here, like last week? Do we have a delay?
The delay is still there because I think it's just a buffering thing that's just acting up a bit. But hopefully the next week's show will be a lot better. So just keep that in mind while watching us. If you do want to watch us through YouTube, we do re-air this episode in YouTube as well. So I think the next day. Okay, so let's move on to the movie review. We'll start with Solo. Derek.
A lot of people have very strong feelings about Solo, but personally, I have a very simple premise here, and I don't think I'm gonna, I person doesn't like to do spoilers or anything like that, but essentially, Solo, you have they basically there's sort of the setup for Han Solo. There's some interesting things in there. You learn a few personal tidbits of him when he's young and so forth, which I found very interesting. A lot of people have really disliked the movie, but here's my point to everybody is that this is not a Star Wars movie. This is an origin story of Han Solo, and you have to approach the movie from this perspective because who is Han Solo? He's a smuggler. He's, a guy who runs a ship and so forth. So what does a smuggler do? He gets stuff from one place, he takes it to the other. Essentially, what you have is a heist movie. That's essentially what you have is a heist movie. And I like heist movies. I actually really like heist movies. That's good. And we were talking about that. I mean, I watched Ocean 8 last night, and that was a heist movie. So I personally love that. But when people go in and expect to see the Death Star or something, it's not going to happen. This isn't the kind of story you're going to look at. As an actor, it was interesting. The guy I think did a good job. Again, people would say, oh, he wasn't like, Harrison Ford's role and so forth. But again, this is Han Solo before he's Han Solo. So you have to understand that he's going to be a little different in the beginning, and they give that progression throughout the movie. And I will say that progression happened nicely during the movie for me. You could see those moments where you could see the true Han Solo come out in him and so forth, but also the caricatures, and there's sort of like a backstory from him, and that origin story. I think if they want to do other movies for him, they can expand on that, and I enjoyed that aspect as well. The supporting cast, and also you get to meet Chewie. You get to see how they meet and so forth, and how they work, and you learn a lot of personal stuff about Chewie, which I never knew. I mean, apparently, if you read the books and all that, you'll know this stuff, but I didn't know it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The movie itself was. We'll start with the feel of the movie. For me, the feel of the movie is very 70s style. It's an amazing feel. It's just how they shot the whole movie and how people are walking around, the costume. It feels like it was in the 70s, and that's how I sort of pictured. That's how I pictured the Solo and Land Calrissian decades was. Like their decade was based on the 70s, and to be honest with you, that was just an amazing feel and look of it. Regarding the origin story, it makes a lot. It's great that they went back to that far back to get his origin story, but how they captured it, in my opinion, it's too weak from my tasting. Like if you compare to other Star Wars movie like Rogue One was made based on one sentence from the New Hope. This one, where they're trying to build something that everyone's been asking for, but at the same time, it was just. I think they tried too hard. I think Disney's executive got into it. It just became too Disney-ish. I think is that. I
So
think
what
that's
you
what
wanted more? You wanted more action in it? Is that sort of where you're going with that, or you
No,
wanted more?
I want to see it more sort of a little more grittier sort of feel to it. It feels like the whole premise in the movie is supposed to be origin, as you said. Definitely agree with that, but it feels like it's catered for younger kids. You know?
I don't know if I'd say younger kids. I think that it is more PG than what Rogue One per se was. It did have Star Wars elements in it. You know, you did see some Star Wars pieces in it, and there were references made to Star Wars, even though it wasn't the primary focus of the movie. But again, if there is another Han Solo movie, this isn't going to be about Star Wars. It's going to be about his how he's getting into the the smuggling trade, and it'll probably next movie probably some kind of smuggling piece, right? Um, in the Star Wars movies, he gets caught up with Jabba the Hutt and so forth, and so they'll probably explore how that happened and why that happened and so forth and so on. I think it was like 10 years before the premise was set, like 10 years before A New Hope. So that's 10 years of him going around doing his smuggling thing before he gets into the rebellion. And you got to look at it from that perspective as well. And I think when you say, "Oh, I wanted something a more gritty," I don't necessarily think that was needed, because again, it's a heist movie. There were some weak parts for me in the movie. I think some of the caricatures were a little weak. Um, uh, and specifically maybe more of the villain stuff. I mean, there's some stuff that happens at the end of the movie to give you again a little payoff at the end of the movie as well, which I thought was cool. But again, that was at the very end of the movie. It didn't really meld into the movie that well. And maybe if they introduced that aspect earlier in the movie, as you say, it might have gotten a little more gritty. So I can say that it was a very straightforward plot. It was very you could basically guess what it was going to come next. It was easily enough to do, and the acting in it wasn't always the greatest. And I'm terrible at names, I really am. But there were some actors who were doing better than others. I know you have. I don't know the woman's name. I'm so bad with names.
Emily Clark? Is it Emily Clark?
I,
The Khaleesi?
yeah, yeah, Khaleesi. Yeah, I thought she was great. I know you have a personal issue with her. I thought she was great in the movie. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, and I love her from that as well. I thought she brought up the movie a bit, especially, and it was funny because you could see the acting difference between the guy who was playing Han Solo and her. You could actually see the acting difference between the two of them, where it seemed like he was a little less experienced than she was. And I heard rumors that he had gone to acting classes before the movie started and
Yeah,
so
I was
forth.
going to mention that. Yeah.
So I mean, you could see that, her experience versus his, and that did come across a little bit, which does take away from the movie slightly for me.
Yeah, it's I don't know. To be honest with you, it's like you're right because I heard the same rumor that Han Solo. I can remember his name, but it was chat room. If you guys know his name, definitely enter that out. Just let us know. I wasn't very fond of his acting. It feels like he just get out of this high school and trying to make it to the business. It's so bad. I was cringing half the time while watching him. And
Well, here's
Emily
the thing.
Clark, it's like for me,
Don't you dash her. You're gonna get a lot of backlash from
oh,
people.
I know,
when you
I
start
know,
dashing
but
her.
to be honest with you, it's so bad.
What, her?
No. So the guy who played Han Solo, it's so bad. His acting was so bad that I agree with you. Emily Clark was a way better actor than him. Emily Clark did push when they interacted with each other. It's it became the only time it become very nice to watch because of her acting skills. But as soon as you put him in the mix, it becomes sort of it becomes so dry that it was just hard for me to watch, right? But if I end up watching, let's say, Game of Thrones, right, compared to other actors in Game of Thrones, Emily Clark was sort of falling behind. But either way, anywho, I really like when Emily Clark and Danny Glover actually have a scene together. You can actually see the difference between them and according to the chat rooms, Aiden and Reacher, I think that's his name. It feels like that his acting skill wasn't there. But if they end up casting someone else to as a solo, as Han Solo, I think the whole movies will be a lot better.
Why don't we pose that to the chat room? What do you guys think of the Han Solo movie? Are you agreeing with what we're saying, or is there something different that you're thinking about the movie? And I'll
Gonzo
also
the
say
Third. Yeah, sorry,
what?
the Gonzo the Third thinks the movie is really really good. Yeah, they think it's really good, and it's first major iconic. So I'm just reading. Okay, Gonzo the Third says I thought he was great. I started to forget that Harrison Ford has Harrison Ford, and and since it's the first major icon, I think he held his own on the screen. That's based on Gonzo the Third. And to be honest with you, you're right, Derek. He is. We are comparing Harrison Ford to him. You're comparing if it's a character thing, you're comparing Han Solo the young versus Han Solo the old or matured.
Now, having said that, I think what Disney went to do was Mark Hamill was an unknown actor when he was cast for Star Wars, and I think they tried to do the exact same thing with this guy, right? Which Mark Hamill was a really hard worker on screen. He was really enjoying it a young actor, um, and I think that he brought a lot to it, the role, but also there was chemistry there as well, right? And I think that you have to have chemistry amongst the actors as well. And I didn't necessarily, there's with his backstory, I didn't necessarily always believe the relationship between him and other people in the show as much as I wanted to. Like I remember when Mark Hamill role was there with Star Wars, he was really young and naive, and he put that across a lot. Whereas I think they went with Han Solo to give him a grittier side, where he went through this terrible stuff when he was young, and he had this motivation that he was going through, but you didn't believe it as much as you did Mark Hamill when he was acting in that way. And when you get a young actor, you kind of take that risk, right? And now he's signed a multi-movie deal, and this was the first outcry. And a lot of Star Wars fans did not like this. And I think I would say to Star Wars fans, if your issue was that there wasn't enough quote unquote Star Wars in it, you went into the movie with the wrong idea. If your issue is with the guys acting, then I can see your point of view, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. For me, it's like I think the movie. I didn't have any issue with the movie. I had an issue with the acting.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, did anyone on the stream have issues with his acting? I mean, they said they liked him, but
They said they think it's not that bad. It's actually pretty good. It's a little cheesy, but sorry. People are commenting that it is hard to fill a shoe like Harrison Ford on screen. Right.
okay. So, do me a favor, read out the comments of the people that are doing it, because I don't know. You're kind of just skipping
Okay.
over it a little bit here and there.
Okay. So the only problem is like the streaming computer is slowing down. So I'm having trouble getting the stream sorted out right now. So hold on. I do apologize for everyone's watching. This our stream is kind of getting slow. Oh, sorry. They literally can't hear us anymore.
They can't hear us.
Yeah, it's weird. Hold on. How about we're having issues. So I did and I think we should just like keep going because until I get this thing sorted out. Sorry guys, I really do appreciate your your patience on us regarding the stream. Again, this is our first episode.
They can't hear us. You've already told this information.
Yeah. Okay. Apparently, we're back. We're back. We're back. So
Time to get a faster internet speed. Time to get more internet speed.
The internet is fine. I get this feeling it's just my system is slowing down because I'm doing a lot of things at the same time. So what I'm gonna do for next feed, I'm gonna put the chat on the right hand side so you can see the chat while we're going, so people can actually see while we're going.
Good. That'd be good. Yeah.
So, let me figure this out. But we're gonna keep going. Keep going. Not bad for the first stream. Bear with us. I was gonna have a technical difficulties, logo, but I'm not.
As I was asking everyone, I mean, I don't know if everybody were commenting. I'm not looking at the stream, guys, so you guys can comment here. We were just trying to see if you agreed about his acting, whether it was not as strong as some other people. I was comparing Mark Hamill and the new guy who I know you guys said the name, but I'm terrible at names. So
Aiden
Aiden something or other, yeah.
is Aiden something something. Sorry, I have I have the chief here trying to tell me something. Sorry. I do apologize for that, guys.
It's our executive producer is chiming in to give us information. So
yeah, telling us you guys are screwing up. This thing is falling apart. But okay, let's go back to the question that Derek posed. What do you guys think about overall the whole movie itself? Like, okay, everyone in the chat room, tell us right now, what do you guys think about the movie? One as in like overall movies or overall movie thing. One as like the worst movie ever, it should not be shown again, like compared to the movie Room, and the other one is like
compared to the movie Room. So
yes.
apparently you don't like the movie Room.
The movie called Room, or the 10 that's supposed to be like the best. It should be winning every single award in the world. So if you guys can tell us your ranking in this one, we'll definitely let's see if both of us agree or disagree in this one.
So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to come back to the movie Room and ask you why it's so low on your list, because that is not the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
To be honest, okay. Okay. Here, Gonzo the Third said it's 8 out of 10. 7 from Platinum, 7 to 8. 7 cause the droid should have been better. That was the comment.
We didn't even talk about the droid.
Oh,
shame on us.
Thank you. Okay, let's talk about the droids. Oh, Clark's still a fanboys. Okay, let's start with the droid, not the room, according to Michelle, 289, or the disaster movie. Okay, so let's talk about the droids. Derek, let's talk about the droids. What's your favorite droid in the whole movie?
For what? Solo?
In Solo, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, we only really had the single droid in there. There was a couple other droids that were put in there, but for me personally, I wasn't a fan of the droid in this movie. I didn't really. I mean, when we think about Rogue One, and again, I don't remember the robot's name in there. I feel bad about that. I love that guy. He was great in that movie. And I think they missed the mark on this. They tried to make the robot too personality driven. And the droid, there were some events that happened with the droid that we don't want to spoil the movie for anyone, but I wasn't a fan of what the direction they took with the droid. And as a personality, I didn't really care for it either. It didn't hit the mark. Number one, they tried to make it funny, like other droids, like BB-8. BB-8 didn't even speak, and you were laughing when that droid was on screen. But this droid, I didn't really laugh. It wasn't really that much of a funny point, even though they tried very hard to make it funny.
No, I agree. Yeah, K2SO is the K2SO is the name of the droid. I agree. The droid itself has the personality is there. It feels like the droid itself tried to steal the show, tried to steal the scene itself. In my opinion, the droid should be a secondary character. If you want to make the droid as one of the main characters, treat it like a main character, but don't try to be better than some of the in other words, they try to make the droid as the main character above the main character. You know what I mean?
I take your point. But with K2O, the other interesting thing was that there was a lot of humorous moments with that droid, but it wasn't forced. I mean, there was a scene where they were fighting a bunch of other droids, and K2O, one of the main character, she shoots an identical droid, and he comes around the corner and he goes, "Did you know that was me?" That was kind of, it was like 3 words, and it was still hilarious, right? So that's the kind of comedic timing and comedic pieces that makes me laugh. And with BB-8, it was always situational where, he gives a thumbs up that was funnier than anything this droid did in Solo, right? Him giving a thumbs up was awesome. That was kind of funny, right?
It is, yeah. Like it's sorry, I called the droid and Solo K2SO or K2 whatever. Sorry about that. I'm mixing up my droid names now. But yeah, so I'm just gonna call the Solo droid until I remember
Thank
the
God we
name.
don't have Star Wars fandoms on here. On
I
the
think I'm
stream,
screwed
they would
now
be
because
mad.
people are telling me that I'm doing this wrong, or they're telling me the name of the droid and I'm not listening to them. So
Oh, okay, you got to do
I do
that.
apologize for that. But yeah, I do really bad at names, especially droid names. But I agree. The all the droids in all the Star Wars movies, this particular droid itself, the one in in Solo, um, it's trying to be funny and it's trying to be part of the gang, right? And I think I got this feeling that they try to when what if something happens to the droid, they want to have an emotional response to it. And in my opinion, they if they do that, they're just going to take that away from the whole movie itself.
I think the plot line did take away from the movie. I think if they had kept it in the same line as BB-8 as a supporting, mechanism of the plot, that would have been just fine. And you would have probably enjoyed it a great deal. They forced everything with the humor and the personality, and it was very forced in the movie, and you could feel that quite easily.
No, I agree. I agree. It feels like the droid itself is like being a crybaby half the time. But yeah. So, any other thoughts about this movie before we move into the next movie, Derek?
Oh, I thought you were talking to the people on the stream, the
Sorry,
important
that's
people, not me.
You are very important.
You were
to me,
like
Derek.
looking
You're
at the
very important.
screen where the chat is at, so I thought, okay, he's asking them. All right, no, I'm not the important
I'm
person
asking for
there.
both.
Oh,
So
God.
before we move on, any last thoughts, Derek, about the movie?
No, I'm good. No, let
Very
the
good.
stream.
Okay. Okay. So the next movie that I want to hear your opinion on is actually the new Ocean 8 movie. I haven't seen it yet, but you've seen it. We talked briefly before the show started, and I really want to hear your review on this one.
So let me ask you: have you seen the other Ocean's movies yourself?
Yes, I have. I've seen all of them,
Okay, so then
including the original.
So there's like Ocean's 11, 12, 13. So you've seen all of those?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's good to have that understanding because then I can, what I'm going to say will probably be relevant to you. So this time around, Ocean's 8 is, I wouldn't necessarily call it a prequel because I think the intention is to show that the events of this movie are happening after the events of the other one. And I'm not going to do any spoilers here for this, but essentially it has that feel to it. I will say that we had a couple cameos from a couple actors from the Oceans movies, which was great to see. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it. I thought it connected this movie with another piece, but we have essentially Danny Ocean's sister, who is played by Sandra Bullock. See, I got a name right. Isn't that awesome? Uh, who is similar like Danny Ocean, gets out of jail and she wants to go and essentially get back at a person who put her in jail. And that's similar to Danny Ocean's plot in Ocean's 11. So we have sort of a similar plot, but it's a cast of all women who do this. And it was an enjoyable movie, I gotta say. I don't have a lot of criticisms for it. If you've watched another Oceans movie and you enjoyed them, you will like this movie easily enough. Simple, straightforward. It's as good as those movies, hands down. The interesting aspects of it were that, one of the people that were, I went with a movie group there to go see this, and one of the people had commented after, which I didn't even think about. She's like, "Dude, do you remember with the Oceans movies that the guys, something would always happen, there'd be a problem, they'd have to adjust and so forth?" And she's like, "But there are a bunch of women doing this, and it went like clockwork. Nothing went wrong because it was planned out and it was good. That was it." And I was
Nice.
like, I never even thought of it that way, but okay, all right, sure, we can take it that way. There were some things about it that I think the only criticism I have, and that's just a personal preference, was that in the quote unquote planning stages with the other Oceans movies, you would see the guys sort of explain the plan. They would walk you through the plan, and you'd have a sense of what to expect. But this movie didn't really do that. They didn't really walk you through the plan. You had a general idea what was happening. There's a couple twists and turns in the plot, which made it also kind of interesting, even though I had some questions around the plot twists as well, where was that really realistic, or why did they have this in? And I felt like when they did this plot twist, they were deceiving the audience, because what they had set up before in the scene would imply that that the person or people didn't know what was happening, even though in the end they did know what was happening. And so when I thought back on the movie after we were done the movie, I thought that that was a cheap trick to the audience, whereas the Oceans movies didn't really do that. I still enjoyed the movie. It was sort of dispelled disbelief in that particular moment, and anyone who's watched the movie will sort of understand where that came from. They're stealing diamonds, which made sense to me in this movie. A lot of good actresses were in it. And Hathaway. See, I'm doing great today. Names off. Like, I'm doing great. And Hathaway was great in the movie. I think she was a really strong actress in it. All the actors were in there. What's her name? Now I'm gonna struggle. Was it not Beyonce? Rihanna. Thank you. See, I almost had it. Rihanna was in it. I enjoyed her performance. I mean, I've only ever seen her in one other movie, which was Battleship. And if anyone's seen that movie, it's one of those. I wouldn't say it was like a stellar role for her.
Yeah. To be honest with you, that movie, she did actually pretty good in that movie. The movie itself wasn't that good.
Yeah, okay. Well,
based on the movie she did carry her own weight, and it was pretty good. I had no issues on that movie.
That was a very bit role for her, though. I mean,
it is. Yeah.
But overall, I give it, I give it 8 out of 10. I give it a takedown a little bit because of those little plot issues I had. The acting was superb. That was wonderful. All the people involved with acting were great. I found that the other thing that now that I'm thinking about, the other thing that I really felt was a bit of a downgrade for it was that in most of the Oceans movies, except for the first one there, we had a protagonist, a bad guy that the guys were working against. And I enjoyed that aspect, the villain aspect of the movies. It gave it a different layer. It also made the Oceans movies a little more complex in regards to a plot and gave them the ability to do twists, which there wasn't a lot of breathing room for this movie to do a big twist on. They did do a twist. They did. But again, I said that I felt like it was sort of a cheat to the audience. They kind of tricked the audience in not a good way, in my mind. But I would recommend the movie, definitely, especially if you like the other Oceans movies.
Okay, so you're giving it a 8.5 or 9? I think you said 8, right?
I said 8, yeah.
8. Okay. Personally, I haven't seen it yet. Definitely I can't wait to watch it. Actually, it looks a pretty good movie. The reviews I'm seeing online, or even just even TV, they're giving it a very good review overall. And I'm just the biggest thing that when I found out about this movie that's coming out, that I was afraid that they're gonna be they're just doing a girl version of the movie for the sake of doing one. But all the reviews I'm seeing is giving it an amazing reviews, and I can't wait to watch it.
It's not, I mean, yes, there are women doing it, and yes, it does change the dynamic a little bit, but essentially the formula is still there. So what I'm saying is, if you enjoy the formula of the Ocean, you'll like this movie. Yeah. Having the women involved in it, it's a bit different in the context of the relationships. There are sort of similar relationships where Sandra Bullock and I don't remember her name either. Let the stream tell us who the other person is, who the antagonist was. Not the antagonist, but her friend. Sort of like that relationship between Brad Pitt and George Clooney. It had that kind of same feel to it, which is great in the movie. It kind of gives them a sounding board to shoot off of for Sandra Bullock to have that discussion. But overall, you can look at the movie and say that the formula was
so. By the way,
pardon me.
It's Kate Blanchett. Sorry, Kate Blanchett.
Oh, okay. There we go. See,
our gone through the third. You're
That's
awesome.
somebody's on there like on Google going, let's Google this. Okay,
Yeah.
there are Google people.
Uh, I can't wait to watch it. Again, it's one of those things that if they do it right, if the formula is good, the acting is great, the chemistry they have on screen is great, the movie's gonna be a great success, right? So I can't wait to watch it. It'll be awesome.
Well, I was opening weekend, and a theater where I was in was pretty much full. I mean, so even with movies that I've very much enjoyed over the last little while, such as Ready Player One, that was a very big movie for me to watch, and that wasn't as full as this movie was.
Oh, really?
And so
Okay.
I think there was a lot of hype for it and a lot of interest in it. And unlike other movies, and I'll make this comparison that unlike so the remade Ghostbusters movie, where it's all female cast, to me, I felt like that was a rehash of the original Ghostbusters in a lot of ways, whereas this movie isn't a rehash. It's like an addition to the franchise, which I enjoyed that a lot more.
Okay. Yeah, Gonzo the Third. Disappointing Ready Player One. I had this feeling this person doesn't like it.
Well, I mean, here my I don't think we talked about this on the street on this at all, but I personally, really loved the audio book of Ready Player One, which is read by Will Wheaton. The book itself has so much depth into it, and for the movie, to be fair to Steven Spielberg, it was hard to capture all of that in a movie. However, I think some of the choices made in the movie did a lot of disservice to the book. I think, what would have made more sense to me is to do three different movies based on the book where you could have one movie for each gate. And I think that would have been a lot more successful, even though I'm sure the production time of all of that would have been just insane. But they did take a much different turn on it, and people who love the book did have a lot of strong reaction against the movie, and I
Yeah.
understand where they're coming from. It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It is. For me, I love the book. I ended up listening to the audiobook as well. And when I got to the movie, I had a very high expectation. I think that's partially my fault, having the expectation that they're gonna do everything that they have in the book and try to compress it in 2 hours. And for them to take a creative licensing and tries to get the feel of that movie, I have no problems. I did have an issue with it, but again, it's just partially my fault. Well, it's actually my fault having that expectation going into that movie. But
I think a lot of
overall,
people did that too. A lot of people had this high expectation. They loved the book. It was their thing. They went to the movie, and the movie just went click, click, click. And it wasn't even true to the book in a lot of ways. And the key pieces that they didn't make it true to the book, I understand why Steven Spielberg made the choices he did, but I didn't agree with them. I thought you could have approached it a very different way. I would even say the argument, make it an extra hour long, make it like a 3 hour movie, and I would have been happy with that, just
yeah,
to get that other content in there that would have really made it much more interesting because he didn't have enough time to make you feel the struggles that the character went through. And personally, for me, I didn't, there was a particular plot point in the movie where the main character goes to fix a problem. And in the book, they did it a way that I personally loved. And in the movie, they just completely glossed over that. And
yeah.
I understand that was probably for timing, that you have to do a setup for that, you have to show it. And they completely rearranged that, which totally took away from the enjoyment of the movie for me.
No, I agree. I agree. That the scene that you're talking about, it was just it was crazy how the Wade did it. The main character, if you guys haven't seen it yet, how he actually did that problem solving was just amazing in the book. When they did it in the movie, I was hoping they'll keep that because it was such an amazing uh way. This is an amazing way to work around the issues, right? If they just kept that part and they changed the rest, I think I'll be happy, right? Even I think that's and I don't know. To me, it's like if I haven't read the book, I'll give an 8 out of 10. But unfortunately, I read the book and I'm giving it a 6.
I think anybody who read the book has that same approach. I mean, I think if you went, and I personally, as somebody who likes to look at movies objectively, when I look at the movie objectively, it was a fine movie. It just wasn't up to the standard of the book, right? If I hadn't read the book and went anyway, I'd be like, yeah, that was fun, not knowing the subtlety of it. I think if I read the book after, it might have impacted my view of the movie also because of how well the book was done.
Yeah, I agree.
So, any other comments on the stream there?
Everyone's just saying that they like the book better than the movie. The movie sucks. I'm just paraphrasing now. Uh, yeah, they said that the book is way better than the movie. The book is a little more interesting.
So let's ask the stream. What topics do you want us to talk about then?
Yes, that's a good idea.
Let's ask the viewer because we don't have Mark today. He's away. He's taking care of something important, and so let's ask them that what do you want us to talk about? Because I don't even know what time it is yet.
We have 10 more minutes.
We have 10 more minutes, so let's ask them to see what they want us to talk about here.
Anything that you want us to talk about, we'll talk about. Doesn't matter how weird it is.
Shouldn't say anything. Okay. Maybe
somewhat anything, but we're still gonna be musicals. Ooh, let's talk about musicals. Are you into musicals?
Apparently you are.
Okay, I was a theater student, so I went to an art school. So
that was like a very big reaction there, Fred.
Yeah, Platinum wants to talk about Harry Potter. Gonzo wants to talk about who built the pyramids.
I don't know that one, guys. Okay, I know what Harry Potter is. Sure.
Okay, let's talk about Harry Potter. I think we have a better grasp of Harry Potter. Because I don't know, a couple of weeks ago you went to a Harry Potter escape room, so you sort of liked it. But if you
I'm more familiar with Harry. I'm not a Potterhead, but my partner is. So I mean, I understand Harry Potter enough to be able to speak to it, but don't consider me a subject matter expert here.
Yeah, same here. But for me, like I watched the movie. I haven't read the book. I know I'm gonna get a lot of slack about that. I am planning to read the books soon. I just have to push myself to reading it.
So wait, are we talking about the Harry Potter musical? Is that what we're talking about then?
The book versus the movie. So I'm just saying that I haven't read the book yet. I've seen the movies. I've seen the play. To be honest with you, the play was interesting. If you're ending up going to your own city, that the I can't remember the name of the musical, the Harry Potter musical, go to your city, definitely check it out because it's very interesting. There's a lot of scenes there that can be very very disturbing. So if you get a chance to watch the live theater, definitely watch it. And
I think there is a Harry Potter musical. I think it's in New York and London or something like that.
Yeah, there's two versions. There's one that's the off Broadway or off West End. It's the synopsis of Harry Potter in the span of like years. So in other words, the whole Harry Potter movies, the books, got compressed to 2 hours in a live theater show.
This one I'm thinking is like 5 hours though, or something like that, something crazy like that. You have to go see it in like 2 different settings. Like if there's an A and there's a B performance, and they have like you could do it on the same day, but it's like 5 hours long, and they have like an hour intermission or something like that. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this, but
yeah, I think the name of the show is Potter. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the show. Yeah.
So that's a lot of time. 5 hours is a lot of time to sit in there, to watch a play or a musical or whatever. I'm not against musicals. I love things like Les Miserables. I was a big fan of that. But usually for musicals, it's not necessarily my full thing.
Okay. Well, okay. Harry Potter is out of the question. Then we can't talk about that because we're not subject matter experts. Okay.
All right. So, what's another question? One of these other, because you could speak to this stuff. I don't know. You go ahead.
So, any other questions? While we're waiting for more questions to come in, one of the questions is where did the pyramids came from? They came from aliens. If you watch Stargate, it will explain everything for you. So,
wait, what are we talking? Are we talking about a musical here?
No, someone one of the comments says how did the pyramids was built and where they come from. I'm just saying that
Oh,
you
that's
should.
a question.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just saying that if
Oh,
you want to
okay.
know about it, you should watch Stargate the movie. It'll explain everything.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting topic. There's a lot of question of how would they be able to make it and so forth, and going to movie theories and so forth about having aliens build it is cool. I'm a big Stargate fan, so I completely get this reference, and I think it's very plausible based on what they've expressed in Stargate and so forth. I think it's a plausible idea because of just anyone who looks at documentaries about how the pyramids are built and so forth. Literally sit there and go, "Wow, there's logistically a lot of things that would go wrong with that, right?"
Yeah, I agree.
But I think maybe we should save that for a topic for another time, perhaps.
Okay. Well, our stream is sort of slowing down, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna end the show soon. But Derek, do you have any pick of the week before we close this?
I actually don't. Not this week. I don't have
Okay.
any picks of the week.
Well, I do. Do you remember back in 2005, Derek?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a little
What is 2005? What are you talking about?
there's a little product called Flip Cam. Do you remember seeing this?
Flip cam. No,
Yeah.
actually,
Okay.
it's not ringing a bell.
This flip cam, it's this is before YouTube became where YouTube is. This is when vloggers became very popular in YouTube. Before smartphones, or the beginning of smartphone, just before the beginning of smartphones, Flipcam started this little company. This little company called Flipcam started, and they had this series of cameras that to record videos, just like day to day lives, and people upload. I bought this when I was traveling in the US for like a month, and I noticed that I was trying to record videos through my point and shoot camera, and it wasn't the best quality. So I ended up going to Best Buy and buying one of these, and I ended up shooting short videos, short like movie videos with this camera for like a couple of years, and it's a 720. I think it was a 24 frames camera, and the quality is actually pretty good. So what I'm planning to do for the next for this summer is I'm gonna do like a small video. I'm gonna post it here in our YouTube channel and Twitch, videos that I shot with this, and I'm gonna see what it looks like and how people actually if people can see the difference between this video that I'm shooting with on a 10-year-old camcorder and an iPhone 10. And I'm gonna see if the people can actually see the difference between the two videos.
Well,
So
firstly, that's like a 13-year-old camera, by the way.
yeah,
Uh, I guess it's
it's old.
2018.
It's
But
old.
the other thing is, are these going to be videos that you're going to do during the summer now, or videos that you recorded back then? Just new
This
videos?
summer. This summer.
Okay, all right. And where are you going to be recording these videos at?
Anywhere. So I'm probably gonna start doing this next month. From everything from camping to like just going around the city, going to just anywhere. I just want to see if this 13-year-old camera can produce high quality movies and videos and videos compared to today's technology.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so it's a little experiment. Okay.
So, is there any final thoughts on the stream there?
We missed about what you're talking about. Apparently we are having massive issues in our buffering, so we're just gonna end this now. Sorry guys. Hopefully next week will be a much better. Please stand by. Be patient.
Time to resolve those technical difficulties there, my friend.
Yes. So hopefully second episode of us streaming will be a lot better. But thank you again for everyone for watching. Final thoughts before we do our official sign out?
Thanks for everyone for joining.
Okay. So feel free to we'll be reposting this in YouTube to watch us in as a replay. Also follow us in Twitch at twitch.tv/ the coffee shop studio. You can also follow us at Twitter at coffee shop _stew. To make a long story short, I couldn't get anything else except stew. So that's our Twitter handle. Definitely feel free to chat to follow us there as well. we are also in podcasting world. So if you watch us, you can actually follow us in Google Play Store and also iTunes. But we are having technical difficulties as well in our podcasting because we maxed our limit of upload, so we're switching to a different platform soon. Uh, it was I didn't realize that we have a maximum, so I'm going to go with the unlimited version. So, but just keep that. I will let you know as soon as that's up and running. But thank you again for joining us. Much appreciated. And next week we'll have Mark back. So if you guys, this is your first time seeing us in Twitch in our live stream, that'll be. Thank you again for watching. You'll see us, our third person will be joining us for next week. Thank you again. We'll see you guys next week.